Hello everybody, it's Lou Collins. Today I've got a card template for you. This is one I've not done before. I know there's dies that can create this shape, but I've never done it by hand, by scoring and cutting the lines myself. So this is the double display card template. This is how your template will print off at home. You can download it for free from Craftworld. I've printed it off just in black and white, and I use recycled paper at home as well where I can, just to try and help the environment and everything. But you can print yours off on brighter, whiter paper if you wish. You can print it off in colour, however you like. You don't always need to print the templates off either. You can have a look at it and sometimes gauge your own measurements and sketch those out yourself. Entirely up to you and how you like to work. Now, I like to print mine out just once and then use a repositionable adhesive. I cut the template out, I stick it to my cardstock, and then I cut round and score round the lines where needed. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to be using this pale pink colour cardstock, and I'm also going to be bringing in something which I've taken a look at before on Craftworld. I've actually still got my scraps from that particular project, and it's the Wellness Card Making Kit. Now this came with Papercraft Essentials, issue 223, so it should still be out in the shops now, I believe. And this has just got some absolutely beautiful elements in it. So it's got some tassels, it's got some die cut elements, it's got some stunning papers as well, and you can see why I've chosen the pale pink to go with these. So these are what I'm going to be using to decorate my card with once I've created the base using this template. So let's just neaten these up a little bit so they all fold in, and put this to the side for a moment while we concentrate on the template. So repositionable adhesive, I use the spray form. You can get these in other forms, so in tubes, for example. Just look for either low tack, repositionable, removable adhesive. There's lots of different ways of saying it, but essentially you want one that's not permanent glue. Otherwise you could just sort of lay this on your cardstock and try to use it like that, but I always find the paper moves a little bit, so it's best to stick it down if you can. I like this adhesive because it only sticks to the side that I've actually sprayed it onto. Once I remove the paper later, it doesn't stick to my coloured cardstock. So on this template, we've got solid lines and we've got dotted lines. Now the solid lines are always going to be your cut lines. On the Creative Craft Products trimmer here that I have, we use the orange blade. Now this trimmer, I've seen a few questions about it recently actually. It does come with replacement blades if you need, so it's well worth purchasing this one, because I know there's a similar looking one on the market that doesn't offer replacement blades, and this one does. So I often find it's ideal to pick up the trimmer and a couple of spare blades at the same time. So this is available on CraftStash. It's exclusive to CraftStash. If you look under the brands on the website, look for Creative Craft Products, or type in trimmer and you should come across it there. But the ideal thing about this trimmer, and I do talk about this every time I do a video, is that this has both a cutting blade, which you can see me using now, just going around the outside of our card template here, but it also has a scoring blade, so absolutely perfect for when we move on to the dotted lines. So I've gone around the edge there, so I've just got the outside of my card base, and you'll notice there's some solid lines, 4 solid lines here as well. So I'm just going to line this up with the groove inside my trimmer there, pull my blade to there and just trim. Now I'm careful because sometimes it's difficult to see how far along you're actually trimming. So I am just careful to make sure I go in the middle, and then I just gently nudge the blade along until it's as far along as it needs to be. That way I don't risk overshooting my cutting line. There we go. And then I'm going to twist this around and do it exactly the same here. So that one went a little bit far, but the score line should help that. So the score lines in a moment will tally up with these cut lines and neaten up the ends as well. There we go. So now I'm going to pop the orange blade up to the top, out of the way, and bring in the white blade, and this is the scoring blade. So you'll notice if you look at the underneath, if you're not sure when you receive them in a package, or you're looking at an old trimmer and you're not sure whether it's a cutting blade or a scoring blade, the cutting blade is a sharp point, a triangle, and the scoring blade is simply a roller. It's just a round blade there. It's not even a blade, it's actually quite blunt. As you can see, I can roll my finger against it. I wouldn't recommend it in case you accidentally do it on a cutting one, but this is just going to indent your cardstock, so you'll notice that's not actually a cutting blade there. And now I'm just going to put my dotted lines inside the groove, and I always go over them a few times to get a nice sharp score line. So I'm going to work my way along the card doing this. Firstly, the full score lines that go top to bottom. And there's one more, so turn my card over. I like to have more of the card on the left-hand side. That just gives me more to hold on to with my left hand. And then I'm going to manoeuvre and just be putting the very ends here under the scoring blade. And I need to do that 4 times as well. There we go, so I've done my scoring and my cutting. I can remove my template now, just gently peel this off. So as I say, the sticky remains on the template, but not at all on the cardstock, which I really like. So it means also that I can, if I don't tear it too much, I can reuse this template. And I often do reuse it for the mats and layers later on. We'll see whether I do that today in a moment when I come to decorate. So now we've got all our cut lines and our score lines. I'm not sure that you can actually see the score lines on here, but we'll fold it now and make it obvious. Now what I do is I start from one end and I work my way from the bottom up. And now as I work along, the first score line I come to in each section is going to be a mountain fold. Okay, so that's going to be these 2 end pieces here, and then it's going to be this one here as well. Okay, so they're all mountain folds. Then work your way along to the next one, and you can see it's already naturally forming that valley. So that one's a valley, and here's a valley. We're also going to find the same here, because we've got mountain, valley. There we go. The next one's a mountain, so it always goes mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. And if you work on that kind of idea, it's always easy to work out how to fold one of these cards. Okay, so hopefully you can see how that's worked as you work along. Mountains, valleys, mountains, valleys. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around and do exactly the same this side as well. And once you've folded everything, bring it all together. You should find you get a lovely sort of gatefold effect. And just take yourself a bone folder and secure all these lines. Now we're going to change some of these lines in a moment, some of these score lines, but we just want the creases there nice and strong. Okay, now as you hold your card up, you can absolutely keep your card that way if you want to, and then you can look at your score lines and you can have a play with bending them different ways and see what looks you like too, if you like. But I really like it this way. I just think that's really, really pretty. And I'm going to keep it that way. I love the dimension that you get. It looks a little bit sort of geometric, almost like an old computer game where you had everything was made out of cubes and blocks. There's actually a more recent one, isn't there? I can't think what it's called now. My children played it all the time. Minecraft, of course, with the green blocks and the brown blocks and everything. You could easily make a card for a child using this card base. But we're not going to do that. We're going to come to these beautiful papers and elements in here. And I'd love to use the tassel as well, if I can. Let's have a look, because we have an awful lot in this kit. I think On Your Birthday is just really fitting, and I think that will just sit nicely inside there. I love that we've got these as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit 2 of them or just one. Never give up, believe in yourself. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous phrases and sentiments here. We've got some bookmarks in there as well. We've got lots of elements that you can pop out. Let's just see. So let's use some of this paper. Use one of these. I think if I fold this in half, because this will fit lovely there, but I'm not sure that what's left, what's left isn't quite going to fit there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just fold it in half. Okay, just be careful about making sure that's in half. Snip this, because I only have one of these. There we go. And it's got blue foil on it as well, so I can put the blue foil to the outside, which matches the blue foil on the Happy Birthday. And then I can place these either side with the same gap at the top and the bottom, so it looks like they were made to fit. And there I've got one either side looking nice and even and symmetrical. I think I'm going to cut these so that I don't want to cover all the pink up, but so that these panels on the inside have some of this paper on, as do probably this panel here, I think. So let me get some trimming together and gluing and see what I come up with here. Okay, so I've got my mats and layers cut, just 4 of them, 4 of the pattern papers. I think sometimes less is more with this, and we've got a lovely coordinating background anyway, so we can just pick out, and it really does make your stash, your kit that you get with the magazine, go a little bit further as well if you just use small amounts of the elements at a time. So matting onto these panels. Now these panels are going to be on the inside, so you're just going to get that peak of colour, and then I've created the same here. I've just done 2 actually, I need to do 4, so I do need to cut another 2 of these. There we go, just quickly cut those. Now I can continue sticking into the right place. You notice these strips actually all line up with each other on both sides, so one on top of the other, so nice and easy to remember where to put the pattern paper. And of course you could do this for more of a masculine theme if you wanted to, quite easily, just switching up the colours and the patterns. But of course when you do start putting this card together, all these elements start to move. Let's just get this in the right place, there we go, and you just see that green peek through there, and they don't then look on top of each other as the same way as they did, so that's lovely. It looks more staggered then. Then the foiled border from the kit I'm going to place just on the edge here, making sure that the gap at the top and the bottom are even. There we go. And the same on this one. So I'm going to flip one side over so that the blue foil is on the outside on both sides, so they're symmetrical, and again making sure that gap at the top and bottom are nice and even and equal. Lovely, so starting to come together already. I'm going to place this lovely topper on, but I'm going to put it on flat because everything closes into the card. I don't want this catching on anything if I was to do it with foam pads. So pop it on there. Lovely bright card, this one. There we go. And then I'm going to take one of these really bright tassels. I love these. Let's take just one. There we go, beautiful. And I think I'm going to have this, let's just have a play with positioning. I think I'm just going to have it on the corner there. I could have it either side. I don't really want it, I don't want it anywhere else. I think on the corner there. So I'm going to use a crocodile or anything that will punch a hole for you. I love my crocodile. I bought it many years ago and I still use it all the time, with or without eyelets, just for making nice neat holes. I'm going to pop the tassel through and then feed the tassel through that loop that I've just put through, so just securing it itself. It's a bit tight. It depends really how deep you make your hole into the card as to how much space you have, but once you've got it through you should have plenty to be able to manoeuvre that tassel. Let's just pull that at the back so that it goes down there. Lovely, beautiful. Okay, so then we've got our tassel on the edge. Isn't that lovely? That was really quick to put together, but it is a wow factor card because you've got all of the shape, it folds into each other. It goes into a nice small envelope as well, which is ideal. And of course you've got plenty of other elements within the kit, as you can see there, lots of it includes there. Lots of other elements if you want to add even more to this. So I hope you've enjoyed using the double display card template from Craft World. Please do show us on the inspiration gallery what you've been making using this template or any others you've downloaded.